Buying equipment, trucks and trailers, it's part of being in the business of trucking. And for many fleets and owner operators, that involves sometimes buying new, sometimes buying used. What are the top 5 things we need to know about buying used equipment right now in 2022? My guest today is Brian Johnson. He's a sales consultant at Aero Truck Sales. Brian is a servant leader who believes in energy is everything. Brian, welcome to the Heavy Duty Parts Report. So glad to have you here.
Jamie, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be on here. I'm super excited to talk about heavy duty parts.
Well, part of the business of keeping trucks and trailers on the road is sometimes you got to make a change, right? Sometimes a truck is just no longer viable to keep and you got to sell it, get rid of it since you want to buy something new or you want to upgrade. But buying brand new isn't always an option. So how are inventory levels right now? We've heard in the news about how it's been so difficult to produce new vehicles because of all the part shortages. This has caused prices on used vehicles to go way up. What's inventory levels like right now?
Jamie, you're exactly right on that topic of the prices holding their value and the creation of new products is very slow. Everything's backed up on docks and we're all hearing it. The COVID pandemic has put us through that. Inventory right now, it's somewhat on the lower level, and it's holding its value, but we're constantly turning inventory over and over again. At Aero Trucks, with the 18 locations that we have, our buyers are constantly buying new products or used products to put on our lots and feature. We have that.
New to them, right?
Exactly, and we have a little bit of extra buying power when it does come to that, having so many locations here across the US and Canada.
Well, and that's a kind of an important point, isn't it? I know in the parts side of the business, expanding your supplier network is such an important part of having a successful strategy for just finding what you need. So if you find yourself in that position where you realize, I've got to do it. I got to buy some used equipment. I got to expand what I've got, or I've got to replace something. Maybe it got written off in an accident or something like that. What's the number one tip that you give people when they're preparing to buy used equipment?
Number one tip is it's not if it's going to break down, it's when. They do break down. They're used trucks. They're meant to haul. They're meant to go to work, but they're also meant to produce revenue. So being a depreciating asset already off the lot, you want to know, what is it going to do? How is it going to produce that so that it is going to generate revenue for you? So I'd say, the number one thing is knowing that, it's going to break down. So just being prepared.
I think that's an important point, because when you are buying a new piece of equipment, you've got that OEM manufacturer warranty for a period of time. You buy a used piece of equipment, and the reality is that it's not just the purchase price, is it? There's going to be some other expenses related to maybe fixing some of the things that need to be fixed or rigging it up for the application that you're going to use that piece of equipment for. So it is really about preparing ahead of time before you end up on a lot looking at a truck.
Yep, 100%.
So is there any best practices that you can share with us that will help buyers to search for the right piece of equipment? So we're at that stage where, okay, we know we need to buy something. We have a budget in mind. We've got a little bit of extra just in case there's some repairs that need to be done when we buy that vehicle. What do we do to really ensure that we can track down the right truck? Because, you spend all that money, you want to have a truck, to your point, that can go to work and make you money right away.
Right. And looking for that high quality return on your investment is basically what it is, because it's a business and you basically live in that business as well. So it's kind of unique in that situation and understanding that. So I think there needs to be, it's like when you're buying a home, what is the most important things to you? What is like some must have? I need to have an APU unit in my semi because I'm traveling in colder climate. I'm on the ice roads or whatever. So you need those certain things. So I like to ask the client, what are some very specifics or must-haves that you have to have within that truck? And then it goes from there. Then it's up to your preference as make, model. Are you specific to Volvo? Are you specific to Freightliner? Do you love Peterbilt? What is it? What engines? And then we go on from there.
And the guys who run Kenworths and Freightliners are just screaming like, "What about my truck?"
Yeah. No, they're all part of the puzzle too.
And the poor 6 Mack guys that we have listening.
Yeah, I love the Mack trucks.
They're coming a long way, aren't they? Those new Macks are beautiful trucks. I've seen some of the pictures. I got a regular follower of the show. He's a parts person for Mack, and he always shares with me some of the new equipment, and it's pretty impressive stuff. I always thought of the Mack trucks, as those vocational work trucks, cement trucks, and dump trucks and things like that. But they've come a long way into expanding their line. So it'll be interesting to see once those tough work trucks end up being used, and you get to sell them.
Yeah. Anything with the bulldog on the front end. I love that.
That's right. Yeah. So, okay. So I get your point. At the beginning, you gotta make sure you got the budget. You gotta understand what your must-haves are. You probably have a few kind of like, I'd like to haves. Let me ask you something. Back in the day, you really had to rely on the dealerships. You would have to go there and talk to them and kind of search around what they had in their inventory. But with technology now, we have this ability to go onto websites like yours and to see a lot of different trucks without ever leaving the comfort of our own home or the truck we're already driving. So once you think you found a truck or a trailer that you want to buy, what's the next step? What should people do? Maybe tell us what they should do. And is there something where people make a mistake there?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's just knowing where you're at, finding the exact vehicle, the exact truck that you want. And then how much do you have set aside to put into this investment, so that that it'll go to work for you, that it's going to create and generate revenue, whether it's going to be something that you're going to finance or you're going to pay for it, straight up with cash. Right. And knowing those, where your personal numbers are at, and then finding the right vehicle that will make sense, so that that you have this payment you got to pay every month for that vehicle, but you're going to be generating the revenue that's going to surpass that.
Yeah. What does that payment do to your cash flow statement?
Right. Exactly. 100%. So knowing that, so that we know when you are driving it off the lot, it's going to go to work for you right away.
Right. So is that something that a person, I guess it's a little different in Canada because of the different financial regulations that we have. It's different than in the States. So down in the States, if someone is going to handle that financing themselves, they're obviously going through a lender that they're comfortable with. Do you recommend that they shop that competitively with what maybe the dealership could offer before they make a commitment?
So my recommendation on that is, if you have a lender that you're comfortable with, you can bring in your own lender, and then we can work together with your lender. We do have here at Arrow, we do have, Transport Funding, which is our top lending company. But they specialize in the main focus of, because we're buying these trucks here at Arrow, we're buying them for a reason, to sell them back to you, to get them on the road, to do what they're meant to do, haul things and make you money. So when they come in, they go through a pinpoint DOT inspection, and the engines get cleaned. Everything gets DOT inspected to become DOT road ready, so that when you do purchase it, we hopefully are avoiding any hiccups along the way of getting you started to producing that and generating that revenue. So hopefully that helps explain that a little bit better.
Yeah, you want to make sure that I always think it's a good idea to look at your financing options, right? Because there is big differences sometimes in the upfront cost versus what the whole thing's going to cost you by the time you've done paying for it. And paying attention to those details is important. And, it's probably a good idea to rely on someone like you to be able to provide a bit of guidance in that. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Don't have a heavy-duty part number and need to look up a part? Go to parts.diesellaptops.com or download the app on Apple or Android to create your free account. Looking for high-quality fuel injection for heavy-duty applications? Having one supplier for fuel injection allows you to better serve customers by providing them with a complete line, which increases your sales and profitability. Learn more at ambackinternational.com/aftermarket. We're back from the break, and before the break, we were talking about the top 3 of our 5 tips that you need to know before buying used equipment. Brian, glad to have you here with us. So let's talk a little bit about the best way to ensure, rather, that you get a fair price. I know that right now, the price pressure in the used market from all of the supply chain issues, the lack of new vehicles, the whole landscape has really, really changed. Is there a way to ensure that you get a fair price, or are we at the mercy of where we're at with the price of used equipment?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's where it truly becomes a consultation process when a customer comes in and they have this big picture idea, and it's wonderful. I want to hear exactly what your goals are. What do you want to do with this truck? Are you looking to get other drivers out there? Is this an investment opportunity? Is this something you're finally going off on your own from an old company, and you're going to be hauling on your own? So learning that, and then diving deeper into the situation on what are your numbers? What are you looking at? What are you willing to set aside and put down for this investment? And then running their, credit report. Okay, so this is where you're at. This is what the down payment requirement is. And then it becomes an option process after that. Ideally, I want to get you in the truck that you want, but let's see exactly what you qualify for, so that this truck will go to work for you and you can afford it.
Yeah. There's a difference between what you want and what you need. In the parts world, my mentor always said, Jamie, sell them what they need, not what they ask for. So I guess from your perspective, you've got to do a bit of that. And, realistically, prices are such right now that maybe the truck that you could have afforded 3-4 years ago isn't the truck you're going to buy today, but we can still find you something that you're going to be able to put to work and make money. And that's what's really important at the end of the day.
Yeah. And then ultimately bringing the customer back down. This is what it will do for you. Sorry, I can't get you this W900 right now, because it's still holding its value at $200,000. You're approved for $100,000. This truck is going to do exactly what it can. And then next year, we're going to get you that W900.
Right. Yeah. And that's the other thing too, right? The circumstances we find ourselves in today, it's dynamic. It's not going to stay there forever. Things are going to change. So, as circumstances change, we can adjust. And I guess that's part of why it's so important for you as a salesperson selling used vehicles, is to build a relationship with all of these customers, because things are going to change and there's going to be needs in the future. So you don't want to burn that bridge, because you want people to come back and buy from you over and over again.
Yes, sir. I mean, one of my favorite sayings out there in the world is the only thing constant is change. So it's going to always be changing. We just got to move along with it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you've kind of alluded to it a couple times. This is the heavy duty parts report. Let's get into service, maintenance, and things like that. What do you do at Aero Truck to ensure that yes, they are buying a used vehicle, but that they're not going to have any major problems, let's say in the first 90 days?
That's a great question, or that's where our 90-day warranty. So we have every truck that you buy off this lot automatically comes with a 90-day, 25,000 mile warranty.
I was going to say, 25 miles. I barely get off the parking lot.
But you can't even do one haul.
Yeah. So it's 90 days, 25,000 miles. That's your warranty. Now, you have the confidence in these vehicles to issue that because of that DOT inspection, correct?
Yes, sir. Yep. And I mean, I'll attest to it personally. Anytime a new truck comes in, they come in looking beat up, crap, dirty. And after that DOT inspection, the engine is so clean looking, and the interior of the vehicle as well.
Right. And I mean, the other thing too is that usually if there's something like catastrophic that's going to happen, it is going to happen pretty much right away. Of course, you can't control what the driver puts the truck through. So, I used to sell transmissions, for example, and differentials, and I can tell you how many times we would send it out, right? The truck would get put all back together. 3 days later, the driver's been bashing it in a logging road or something, and broke a tooth off the differential or something like that. And it's like, oh my God. But how many times did we have to step up and help them out and to get them back on the road? And sometimes there was a bit of cost share there, but at the end of the day, the product that you're selling, you've got confidence in because it's been thoroughly inspected. Your people have gone through it. And as long as there isn't driver abuse, then that new driver can drive that thing and go make some money. And yeah, it's a used piece of equipment. Things do break, but it is nice to have that confidence. Would you say that 90-day is kind of the average out there, or is that something that's actually above and beyond what other people who sell used equipment offer?
From what I've seen personally, that is above and beyond. I've seen others that are 15-day, 90 days is definitely the largest guaranteed automatic warranty that we'll put on there. And that's any truck that you're driving off of our lots. And then we also do extended warranties as well that you can purchase above and beyond.
Right. If you need that little bit of extra security. I could see that extended warranty could be important too, because hey, let's face it, if you don't have the 50 grand to replace an engine in 6 months or something like that, it would be nice to have a little bit of extra coverage so you can go make some money and build up your reserves so that one day, if you ever do have to go and do a major repair, at least you've had some time to build up the cash. So, okay, give us a tip or something that maybe wouldn't be quite obvious to the average person. Just a bonus tip on buying used equipment.
I would recommend, doing a little bit of research on your own before you come in. If you're looking at used equipment and just having a basic knowledge of what you desire before you come in, so that when we meet and we do a consultation process, I can suggest right more in your alley or an avenue that you can go down for a semi truck that fits your needs.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you do a little bit of that preparation, it's like, okay, I've got some of my finances in order. I have a hit list of things I need in the work truck to be successful. I've got a budget range. I've got kind of an idea of what I like. When they bring all that information to you, it's not, as a salesperson, you're not just going to say, okay, and just take that at face value and go give them exactly what they asked for. You're probably going to spend some time digging a little deeper and going beyond some of that preliminary stuff to allow you to really be able to find a solution that works for that specific customer's needs. I can see why that's an important part of the process.
Yeah, and it's just, after a consultation similar to that, it's similar basic knowledge. How long have you had your CDL? What is the primary items you're going to be hauling? Is it flatbeds? Is it dry vans or reefer trucks? So that way, when we're really digging down deep to the exact semi that you want, we know that it's going to work the right way for you.
Yeah, a great example of that is that an over the road or like inner city truck that's tandem axle is not going to cut it when you need a triaxle Kenworth T800 to go for a logging or mining application, right? Those are two very different trucks. So how detailed do you get into things like gear ratios, engine performance in that consultation? Do you go to that level as well?
Yeah, I mean it depends on the client. If it's a fleet manager who's looking for 5, 10 or more trucks, but he's telling me that they're in the mountains all the time, we're going to have to dig a little deeper and find more information that will work for him or for those individual clients.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You've been listening to the Heavy Duty Parts Report. I'm your host, Jamie Irvin. We've been speaking with Brian Johnson, a sales consultant at Aero Truck Sales. To learn more about Aero Truck Sales, visit aerotruck.com. Links are in the show notes. Brian, I went easy on you. Used sales, car and vehicle salespeople don't always have the best reputation, but you and I got to know each other ahead of time. I thought you were a stand-up guy, and I thought you could give us some good tips. So thanks for being on the show and representing the good side of selling used equipment.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate it. And please reach out if there's any questions that you guys have and you're listening to the podcast here.
Thank you for watching this video. Click here to subscribe to the Heavy Duty Parts Report YouTube channel and click here to watch another great episode.